Okay guys, we're now heading our way to the police station in a civil and orderly manner. As you can see, all the aggression was coming from the socialist Corbynistas that were there just wanting to leave. That's freaking racist, Jay. What's going on there?
So I'm here with Phil, as you can see everyone, and yeah, we were walking down that road and we walked into Stand Up to Racism pretty much right there, which was pretty mental.
Which when they were confronted, they had nothing to say.
No, they just wanted to label racist, homophobe.
And the lie, they were saying that bottles were thrown for the DFLA. Now, Jay, you were there. Did you see any of that happen?
Not when I was at any of the DFLA or the FLA events in Birmingham last week.
I do know for sure that there wasn't one single arrest.
Yeah,
it all went well, very positively.
Yeah.
And I didn't see personally any bottles, and I didn't hear of any bottles being thrown. But for him to stand there
and say
as
that
a counter-protest, basically throwing out disinformation to everyone, so people were walking past and now going to soak that up and think, right, well, I don't want nothing to do with the DFLA because they're a lot of
violent. Yeah, exactly.
Just building up the straw man. That's the only justification he's got.
And plus, we heard at the beginning of the march, you know, the organisers of this event, they disowned any violence towards anyone, basically. Not just that, disowned anyone being racist, and they said if anyone here is, you know, here to be racist towards anyone of any group, you can leave now.
Exactly. They said that right at the beginning.
Yep.
So we couldn't be more sure and specific about what we're talking about. And it doesn't allude to racism at all.
Yeah.
But the fact that we can meticulously pinpoint and go into that area and they can't.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's all that ever happens. They want to keep it up there. No, you're a racist, you're a wrong.
Yep.
We can divulge and break down in no uncertain terms why we're not, what we're talking about, who we're talking about, how it doesn't affect everyone that is a Muslim.
Yep, exactly.
But we can do that. And when you say that to the face, the only thing they've got to say is either nothing or
racist.
You're a racist.
Yeah.
And it's like, what world am I living in, AJ?
No idea, mate, no idea. So we're halfway at the moment. We just had the guy give a little speech, but before we got to that, we walked through the Stand Up to Racism lot. Now they were just standing there. Now fair play to all the DFLA lads. They could have gone right in there, up in their faces and everything, but they didn't. They kept their distance. But what I thought was pretty mental was the fact that the police's line in front of them just fell apart straight away. There was like two people through. They were coming through. The DFLA lads were going.
Allowed us to
yeah, which they should have had a wall of bodies.
Because it was just me, you, and John.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the whole
DFLA, there's a couple of lads, and then they're like coming across as well. And
so, do you reckon they were hoping that something was going to happen?
No, I don't want to say that. I don't think that. I just think it was really bad organisation on their part, more than anything.
They kept it apart a bit better.
Yeah, they could have done a lot better job.
This is another point. The lady who was part of the counter-protest, and the guy who was saying that bottles were thrown at the DFLA.
Yeah.
Now, if that was the case, there's a lot of DFLA members here. Would there not have been bottles thrown just then when we all were in spitting distance?
Well, exactly. And
the most that happened was a few exchange of words.
Yeah.
There's no violence, no one hitting out at anybody. But that's what they want to do. They want to trigger and make out as if everyone's passive aggressive against them.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It is crazy. Well, looks like we're heading to the police station. Me and you will probably catch up at the end.
Yeah. Are we voluntary walking into a cell here to watch it?
I have no idea.
All right.
I lost it there.
Wendy's brother was
No, I didn't. I wrote the letter.
It's going to be a brilliant video for me because I got him on the thing giving it.
He wasn't a sergeant. Basically. He wasn't a sergeant. And as a kid, I had the tip of the golf.
I'll film you telescopic.
Okay. I'm putting it to good use. I know. I think I'm filming the clouds more than anything here, pal, to be honest. I'm alright, pal, I'm alright. Phil. Alright. Hello there, you alright?
You caught me on your video last week. You know what?
The legend that is Red Phil. Good to meet you in the flesh.
But I done a double take because I saw a guy earlier that actually looked like you.
Right, okay.
And I was like, is your name Phil? And he was like, no. You're the first one to ask, so I won't be the last. Because it's really similar.
Right.
And then as I was coming in, you was on the wall, I think, weren't you? First of all, filming before.
That's right, yeah.
And I kind of gone in there, and I'm like, but yeah, no, great vids.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So, I take it you from Telford, are you?
No, I'm from Bournemouth.
Right, okay, so you come especially?
Yeah, with the White Pendragons, yeah.
Oh, right, okay. So, what's your take on what's going on?
Oh, it's disgusting. And I'm a parent of 3 girls and a granddaughter, and it's disgusting. It just makes me sick.
To be honest, right, in 100 years'
I
time,
just don't agree with it, and I don't know how it can go hidden for so long and no one do anything about it.
Yeah. What do you think of the fact that when we walk through the counter process, they just say nothing but slurs?
Twisted.
Yeah.
They must be parents
That's
or
probably the best
grandparents.
word, it's a twisted logic,
It is.
isn't it?
My brain doesn't process how they can't acknowledge the abuse of kids. And although it's big time with the gangs and that, paedophiles full stop.
Yeah.
You know, it's wrong.
Yeah.
And
He's arresting people.
it needs sorting, you know.
Yeah. Have you got the support of your family when you talk and when you say what you feel about what's going on?
As far as kids go,
As
yeah.
far as, you know, what you're supporting now?
No, they'll think I'm bonkers. But they are kind of coming around slowly.
Right.
But my kids actually, my youngest especially, because of what they're taught at school, or brainwashed at school, for a few months I was kind of having a bit of a debate with her because she actually thought for a little while that I was just racist.
Yeah.
But obviously she's seen it for herself now.
Yeah.
And she's a very clever girl. She's really aware of the teachers.
Because it's not their fault as children.
No, yeah.
They're just getting the wrong information.
Yeah, totally.
Which
One-sided.
Twisted logic.
Yeah,
comes out the
but
other
it's
side.
all very one-sided as well.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, she's aware of it now. She's all for it. In fact, I was going to bring her today, but I wasn't sure what was going to be here. So
Yeah.
but had I known
Maybe
then-
next time, eh?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, without a doubt. But
So let's see, hopefully we can keep it peaceful. I don't know whether we've presented ourselves to the police here now or whether there's going to be one giant cell.
Well,
you know, is it going to be like something out of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang where
could be.
we're
As
going to
long as
walk
I'm not on
in
my own,
some-
I don't mind. I get bored on my own too.
Well, you've got good company, don't you? Thank you very much
You're
anyway.
welcome.
See you later. Okay, we're outside the police station.
The other side.
I believe someone's coming down now.
And you've got a minute. I think someone's coming down. We just want to document it. I think someone's coming down to receive the letter.
Right, okay.
So, and then after that, Bill's going to say a few words, and then I believe we're going on to Derby House from here. Is that right?
We're going to go we're going back down south.
I think it's Tim. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you don't get there.
Sorry, squeeze in with you guys over here.
I don't know. I think that's what Tim was saying. To one of the officers about Derby House. Jim. Jim. Yeah, Jim.
Okay, we're just waiting to see someone's come down so we can present the
Yeah,
website.
it's going to be contact.
And,
Here you are, Phil. Do you want to catch this on camera?
Shame on you! No, lads,
No.
come on, hang on.
Keep it calm, please, gentlemen.
They won't respond if you start shouting.
Very motivated. We've got some questions that we'd like to ask Superintendent Hardings. There's nothing inflammatory in there.
Yep.
It's what's in the public domain, and we'd like the questions answered on behalf of us as concerned British citizens and for the people of Telford. I think now is enough's enough, and the time is still happening.
Okay.
Mr. Harding's interview on the BBC said he wasn't aware of the extent of the problem and the problem had gone away, when in fact there are still 46 vulnerable children being abused today. So,
As
you
we
pass that
speak.
to.
I certainly will. Okay.
Thank you very much for coming out and speaking to us in person.
Come on. Thank you.
So can I ask, pal, what's the next step now that letter's been presented to you?
I will give this to Superintendent Harding, as has been requested, and then we will formally respond on what's this letter. I hope you understand that it isn't appropriate for me. This is addressed to him,
Yes,
and
fine.
I won't open it, and I obviously won't be able to speak on his behalf.
Yep.
And I do understand, and I hope you've been accommodated.
Fantastic.
today in
Round of applause for today.
One thing, officer, I struggle in a way. For the past 40 years, men from my community raped white girls from the ages 11 to 18. Men from my community. Why on earth was that allowed to happen for 40 years?
Well, in this town, I understand the concerns and the stress that everybody's under at the moment, but I also need to make it clear that when those complaints have been made, we have dealt with them. Our officers have dealt with them, and we are dealing
You've
with them
ignored
now.
it for 40 years.
The Sikhs now, you've ignored it for 40 years. The Sikhs come forward and challenge the authorities about the situation, but it was brushed underneath the carpet. And 40 years, Sikhs are a minority in this country, population-wise. I will say that, yeah. The white population is the majority, but people, you have woken up. And we just.
Can you answer me a question? When did it become police policy to bail rapists and paedophiles when you know that they've done something and you've got DNA, so you know that's likely to lead to a conviction? When did it become policy in this country for rapists to get bailed? Because you know and I know what the bail laws are. So the first one is this person a risk to the public? Well, clearly, yes. Secondly, are there a flight risk? Are they going to run off? Quite possibly, yes, as well. So when did you start? When did you get some kind of government direction that the police bail rapists and bail paedophiles now? Can you answer my question?
I can only talk for this particular policing area, which I hope you understand. Clearly, exactly 12 months ago today, there was new legislation brought in, which enabled us to, what we now do is release under investigation, which meant that people were not allowed to be kept on bail for significant periods of time. Now, I cannot give you the information as to whether or not there are, as you say, rapists within Telford.
I heard here on Sunday night in Telford, on Sunday night, a 19-year-old girl was raped, and the person you arrested for it, and I believe you're going to be charging, has been bailed. Why and how is that happening?
And I can't talk about individual cases. I hope you understand that clearly.
Judici, I get that, but as a general policy.
What I can say is that every single individual who comes into this police station, if they need to be released, there is a risk assessment done around them. That absolutely goes without saying.
Do you as a police force not feel guilty for all these thousands of people who have been raped?
That risk assessment is not strong enough. It needs football supporter. It needs rewriting.
From every ground in the country. Were you afraid to be called racist, officer? Were you afraid to be called, racist by men from my community? Is that what stopped you from acting out your duties?
No, not at all.
Why did you allow criminal activities to take place for 40 years? That's what I want to know.
And that's what we will investigate, and I promise you I will get a response to this area. Okay.
It's not just right, it's motivated right. That's what it is.
I will say to everybody, and I'm happy to send you all a copy of the letter, a lot of the things you're asking now are in that letter. Obviously Justin's question wasn't, but the majority of questions, they are in there. I've worded them not to be inflammatory, but there is the point in fact that between 2013, Operation Chalice identified 200 perpetrators.
Muslim men from my community.
That came from one community.
Not Asians.
Muslim men from my community.
They're Muslims.
Thank you, Carol.
I can say it. I can say it. Have you got daughters, officer?
Do you have
you got daughters, yeah?
Kind of governmental directive that ties. Is there some kind of governmental directive that ties the police hands and stops them being able to do what they should be doing? Are you being told something from above?
No.
Look, like the Barcelona Treaty,
No,
things like that. Is that
absolutely
being handed
none
down to you?
whatsoever. And I can assure you that there is a team here, and there has always been a team here dealing with this type of crime. In accordance, and
Do you have enough officers?
there are enough officers dealing with this type of crime at this present time. And we also, and I appreciate you've been over to the council, we also work very closely with them. This particular local authority has one of the best ways of dealing with this type of crime, and it's been recognised. So we are continuing to work with them.
How many officers have you got on the...
Can I just, would you like, should we just do one more question if that's all right?
One more question, officer. How many officers have you got under scrutiny?
Committee. In the last 3 years, there's been 711 cases. They decided to look at 304, but you made 0 arrests. Why was that?
I don't know. I genuinely don't know why that is the case. I don't know. I don't know.
It's in there anyway.
If it is in there, then we will absolutely get you an answer and we will respond.
How many?
Is there an address? Very good.
How many officers under scrutiny?
Can I?
Officer.
All right, sorry.
How many officers have you got under scrutiny?
How do you mean? Under
Investigation. You have 40 officers at the moment under investigation. What will happen to those officers?
Those officers who turn a blind eye.
No, they won't turn a blind eye. I don't quite understand your question. You mean officers investigating this type of crime?
No. 40 officers are under investigation for their turning a blind eye on the 40 years of rape.
Okay, well, if that's the case, and I'm not aware of that number...
It's in the papers. It's in the papers.
Okay, well then, if that is the case, then those individuals will be dealt with, and if anything is proven against them, then charges will be brought. That is what will happen with them.
We will see.
Is that okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, did it go far enough, pal?
I'll wait and see to the response to the letter. We have sent the letter to the national press as well. So let's hope so.
Satisfied with the way, I mean, it's fair play.
I'm satisfied it's gone well today, and I thought I didn't actually expect that.
Standing up for what's
I thought it was going through the door, to be honest with you,
So at least
but it
fair
wasn't.
play's
Yeah.
come out.
community
So,
and everyone
and they've listened to this guy. These guys as
stood
well.
up for what's right.
Yeah,
At the end
fingers
of the day,
crossed.
Well done, mate. You've done a
crimes
brilliant
have been
job.
committed in this place. Awful, dreadful crimes, and nobody has been brought to justice before we started this campaign, before you people actually started standing up for yourselves. And I want to say how proud I am to be standing with you. You're doing this, it's the people, power of the people, you're doing it, and you all should have a round of applause for what you're doing today. It's important, really important, that this is pushed and pushed all the way. The people who've committed the crimes need to be brought to the full force of British justice, and if by any chance anybody in authority has stood by and allowed it for reasons of political correctness or anything else, they should be prosecuted as well. They have been accessories to crimes that are disgraceful and abhorrent. I want to say one more thing. When we walk past those demonstrators, those counter demonstrators, whose whole aim seemed to be to defend the guilty because they're frightened of the truth coming out, because quite possibly their political allegiances will fall into disrepute because the people running the council and running the establishment are equally guilty. When we walk past those people, I filmed it and everyone else was filming it, and ladies and gentlemen, you were a credit to your community and a credit to yourselves. I think you were absolutely superb in the face of provocation. You've done brilliantly today. Keep this going, and I guarantee I stand with you every step of the way.
Just hold fire a sec, we're going to work out where we're going from here, just 2 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I just have your attention for 1 minute, please? This was posted online a couple of days ago, and it goes back from September 2016. And it's an extract of a story from a survivor's mother. I was once one of them victims myself, so I know exactly how the people of Telford feel. As I said, this goes back from the 2nd of September 2016. Telford grooming gang, a mother's story. Our family was close, but a set of unexpected events in quick succession has rocked us. My daughter was very vulnerable. I knew something was happening. Excuse me, while this phone just plays up. It was way back in 2008. My daughter, Emma, was 13. I was worried sick. It started when she was approached after school by a white lad who invited her to a party. He was Jack the Lad type of kid. Sold drugs and had plenty of cash. He was over 17 and one of a number of boys who we now know hooked up girls with the gangs. These boys were paid with either drugs or cash. Made to feel special. The girls on which they focused their attention were not most popular ones in the school. Girls with larger friendship groups were not targeted. It was a disillusioned fact of insecurity. The ones that seemed adrift. The girls were given attention, they were craved, they were given compliments, they were bought clothes, iPods, and most importantly, a mobile phone paid for by the gangs. Various events followed. They were made to feel very special indeed. She was meeting a group of Asian males. It all started off friendly, and before long, Emma became withdrawn, argumentative.
Carry on, Mike. Go on, son.
And very secretive.
Come on, Norm.
Go on, mate. Come on, She started having problems at school. I noticed that she was using new programs on the computer and apps on her new telephone that avoided my parental locks. I had to find out what was going on, so I logged into her computer and her phone.
Come on, Josh, take over.
Without her knowledge. Social services. I didn't know anything about the gangs or what they did. They all came later. I had to do something. I spoke to the school. They do nothing except give excuses because it was happening outside of the school gates. I phoned social services on several occasions and asked for help. What else could I do? The advice was far from detailed. I was told to talk to Emma and remove her from the situation. So I did. I talked to her until I was blue in the face, and though she did not listen, I took it all in. I was wrong and it got worse. I approached one lad and told him to stay away from Emma. His response, he boasted and shouted and called her names. I was physically abused in the street. I phoned police. I explained the situation. They asked Emma if she would press charges and stand against him in court of law. This wasn't going to happen. Emma thought she was in a real relationship with a lad.
You can do it.
Come on.
Come on, Norman.
He made her feel special. Why would she make a complaint? The police said there was not a lot they could do unless something happened. Threats from family. I spoke to my GP about it all. I took Emma to see him. He talked to her. She went on the pill just in case. I went to the police again. They came to our house and spoke to her. But because she was 13, yes, 13, and this lad was 17, and she said he loved her. They said they would not intervene. If he had been, say, 21, then what would that may have been different. I gave them his parents' address and they spoke to him there. Following the police visit, we received threats from his family. But unless anything actually happened or evidence came to light of those threats, the police couldn't act. I continued to check her phone and computer. Now I was starting to delete messages without her knowledge. Around this time, I also found a set of keys which I took and hid. All I could do was to be very strict. I grounded her, started walking her to school and picking her up from school, all while trying to hold down a job. My employers were very understanding. For 3 months, wherever Emma went, I went with her. It was the only way to break the cycle. I call this the turning point, but I'm not really sure if it is. One day I caught this lad outside school pushing Emma and saying she had to go to a party. I intervened and held this lad against the wall and threatened him with police. Emma saw this, and it was then the turning point.
She realised I knew more about what was going on than she first thought, and very slowly she started opening up to me. She was terrified. She explained that there were old men at these parties and that she didn't want to be there. She wasn't the only white girl there. I told Emma, I got Emma out before it went too far, but not everyone was so fortunate. It was hell on earth for 3 years, but I would do it all over again to protect Emma. Not all parents know to look or know how to check out the technology these days. Some will still slip through that net. Technology is changing too, faster than today's society. More apps are encrypted and more apps need passcodes. Onus of proof. No one to my knowledge has or was charged with any crimes in relation to my daughter. Look at how many.
Oh no, mate. Nearly there.
Look how many were actually prosecuted for crimes like these. It's a joke. These girls were passed around from pillar to post, not just in Telford either. The onus of proof was simply too great. More should be done in schools to raise awareness about the issues about giving kids somewhere to go if they're in trouble or feel unsafe. Emma is not her real name. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening.
Well done.
Well done. Well done. As I've said before, I was once a victim of those guys, and it's not very nice. So please, wherever you live, wherever you go, pass those posters around, speak to your community, bombard your MPs, whether they be UKIP, Labour, Tory, bombard them. Bombard your senior police officers, because those are the guys that are going to give you the answers, and the only people that's going to give you the answers. If you're in the Labour Party constituent, you want to know, because believe me, Mr Corbyn has got more under that carpet than systemic crimes, and that needs to be outed. Let's get Mr Corbyn out.
Right, cheers Norm, thanks for that. Right, we're going to head back down to Southwater Square where we were met by a counter demo. We've got plenty of leaflets, some information to hand out. If you want to talk to members of the public, different members of the community, that's what we're going to do. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you for supporting us and thank you for tagging along. Dave, do you want to say a few words?
Obviously, it looks like they've done the others in Southwater, so hopefully there'll be no...
The counter-protest has gone now.
The counter-protest has gone, we believe.
So you can...
But there still might be some people floating around. Don't let them provoke you. Don't get wound up. Remember why we're here. All right, guys? Thanks a lot.
Cheers, Josh.